Hello, my creative friends. I'm Heather North from heatherscreativeblessings.com. Today is Blog Hop Day for the new Spring Fling collection from Catherine Designs. And I decided to use every one of those new colors in my card today. So what I have here is a standard card base. It's 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2, and I've lined it up with my grid mat, and I'm just marking the center point. It's 2 inches down from the fold line and 2 1/8 inches from either side. So I just marked that tick mark, and then I'm using the circle dies and lining it up with that center point and using a mechanical pencil to draw the outline. These circles they come all connected, and you just cut them apart. But I kept it connected because it was easy to find that center point to make this particular card. Now I'm going to pull out the flower from Simply Stated, and I'm going to be stamping this in something of a rainbow order. These are off rainbow colors, but I started with It's a Girl at the very top center of my circle. After I stamp it, I'll clean it off before I go to my next color, and then I flip my ink pad upside down and I'll stack them so that I can easily just flip the stack over and re-stamp in rainbow order again. So my second color was Bellini, and now I have Melon Ice. I've lined up the bottom of the stem with that light pencil mark that I made, and then I kind of kissed the bottom leaves together so that they're somewhat evenly spaced. That was Garden Party, and now we have Meant to Be. The next color will be It's a Boy. Then Pixie Dust. Oh wait, maybe it's Sweet 16 and then Pixie Dust. I'll have the supply list down below for you guys. I wasn't really sure how these would all line up, and I didn't want to have two colors right next to each other, or even an off color right at the top center of my card. So I'm going backwards here with just Pixie Dust to the left of It's a Girl, and then I'll do Sweet 16 to the left of Pixie Dust, and that way if my colors aren't quite in order, at least it won't be right in the very top center. So from here on out though, I'm just going to keep going in that rainbow order. So It's a Girl, Bellini, I'm turning the ink pads upside down to stack them, and then I'll turn them right side up to stamp again. From here, I'm going to show you a few different ways to finish off your card. The first is the easiest. I'm just going to ink up the Get Well Soon stamp in Bellini ink, and it's the first time using it, so I like to prime it by stamping off on my scrap paper a few times, and then I just stamp it right in the center of the circle. And I think I did this off camera, but you want to make sure that you erase those pencil marks that you made too. For my second card, I'm going to stamp on Vellum. So I used my mini Misty here, and I stamped down Mother's Day. It's also from the Simply Stated stamp set by Catherine Designs. I stamped it on that scrap paper so I could see exactly where it was going to be, and then I put my strip, I think it's a 1-inch strip of Vellum cardstock, into the Misty, and then I'm stamping it down with Midnight ink. Then I'm going to clean that off and I'll add Happy to the Misty. One thing I want to point out, when you're using the Catherine Pooler inks, use a very light touch. You just barely kiss it to your stamp pad. If you push, you'll push the foam into your stamp completely, onto your stamp press or your Misty, and it makes a big mess. So just lightly tap, that's all you need. Especially with a Misty, because you can stamp it several times. And I'm sorry this was off camera, but I'm just stamping the Happy onto the craft paper so I can line up the Vellum again. Because you can see through Vellum, I'm just lining it up where I want the Happy to stamp above the Mother's Day. And I'm doing it this way so that I can fit it onto that thin strip, but also so it can I can stamp it exactly where I want it to go. I'm stamping this in Pixie Dust several times just to kind of darken up the color. When you stamp on Vellum, it kind of lightens the color a little bit, and I wanted the sentiment to really stand out and not just fade away. Before I adhere the Vellum, I want to make sure that I erase those pencil marks. So what I have here is just an eraser, and I erase it a little bit first on my scrap paper. That makes sure that if there's any kind of leftover pencil on the eraser, it's not going to just muddy up my cardstock. And then I just erased the circle and the center point. And now I'm using my grid mat to line up where I'm going to place my my vellum, and I added a little bit of adhesive to either side of the vellum, and then I'm wrapping it around to the inside of the card and pressing it down. And that's card number 2. So now we'll get to work on card number 3. Once again, I'm going to stamp out the flowers in rainbow order. This third card is actually closest to what I had in mind when I was envisioning my card. So I'm using the direct-to-paper technique here to just color up some cardstock with the Garden Party ink. And I'm going to use one of the circle dies because what I visioned in my head was kind of a circle frame on the inside of that rainbow flower with a sentiment inside of the circle frame. So this collection comes with 2 different die sets. One is just the straight circles in various graduating sizes, a lot of them. And then the other collection has 5 or 6 circle dies with embossed dotted circles on the inside. It's really hard to see on camera, but it just adds that nice little detail. I wasn't sure which I would use, so I just die cut several, and then I'm going to play with the design afterwards. Now, I stamped thank you in the center of this flower, and when I really liked that dotted circle and wanted to use it, but it was a little bit big. It covered up some of the thank you, and I didn't want to do that. I love the font on this. So again, I'm pulling in my Mini Misty, and I used just a little bit of adhesive on the back and rubbed off some of the adhesive on my finger so it wouldn't stick permanently. But I stamped the thank you onto that craft paper again, lined up my circle, and then stamped down onto that circle. And as you can see, it lines up perfectly with the thank you that's on my cardstock. I'm just going to use some 2-way glue to adhere my circle to my card. And then I'm going to trim down about 1/4 of an inch off of the sides. Maybe 1/4 of an inch off of each side, because I wanted to have a little bit of a green border on either side of my card panel. Again, I'm going to use the direct-to-paper technique, and to avoid getting any ink on the back of my card, I just use some Post-it notes, and I swiped the Garden Party on either side. And now I'm going to need a re-inker, because when you use the direct-paper technique, you do use a lot of ink. So thankfully they're coming out in the new, when the new inks come out, they're also coming out with new re-inkers. So I'm going to have to get some of those, because I am going to be using these inks up a lot. My final step is just to pop this up with a little bit of foam tape, and my third card will be done. Before I go, I want to give a shout out to my friend Christy Boulay. She's a stop on the blog hop, so be sure to follow her if you're not already. She is the one that's been teaching me how to think outside the box when it comes to my stamps, and to stamp them in unique ways in different designs so that I get a lot more mileage out of my supplies. So here's the first card. It's the Get Well Soon, that's clean and simple, followed by the Happy Mother's Day with the vellum wrapped around it, and then finally my thank you card with direct paper technique. You could use so many different sentiments for this design. If you want to be even more inspired, you're going to want to check out the blog hop. I'll have a link down below. Not only that, you're going to want to leave comments, because Catherine Pooler is giving away 3 of her new ink collections from the Spring Fling collection. Plus, there are going to be ideas on all of the stamps and supplies that are coming out. So go ahead, be inspired. If you like my card, please give me a thumbs up, and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to see more from me. I'm going to have more videos coming up soon using this new collection, and you won't want to miss out on it. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!